Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the third day of June 2019. Finally got that right. This is my third attempt at opening this video today. I kept getting the date wrong. First it was 2018, then it was January, and oh, Lord. Well, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I was out planting and doing things, and I was just out planting some petunias and some alyssum. So hopefully I got my hands clean and you're not going to be looking at dirt under my fingernails again. But I don't know. I'm an herbalist. What are you going to do? I plant things everywhere. My hands are always in the dirt. So it is what it is. Well, last week, let's review a little bit. We've kind of been keeping track, and just to see if one day sort of rolls into the next or 1 week rolls into the next. And now we're into a new month. Last month really was about balancing polarity and sort of, you know, May is a 5 energy, so you're talking change, but you're also talking fulfillment. And now we're into, I think, more harmony this month, higher self informing that whole process, seeing more than just the self, being aware that there's more than just the individual in the world, that we're actually part of the greater unified consciousness. We see with the 6 an awareness of more than just us, really. And last week, we ended on a new direction in managing our will, coupled with emotion. Been seeing some of that in the lunar transit posts I'm doing over on Stepping Aside over on the blog, and that one's up. Gemini is up right now, so that's over there at imsteppingaside.com. So is the geomancy reading for the month, and I have to say that probably is talking about some similar things, self-imprisonment and what we're really doing to ourselves, you know, versus what may be something that's happening to us externally from other people or other situations, that it's really more about being mindful about the choices we make in terms of our own perception. So I think that's kind of what we saw moving into this week from last week with the tarot cards. So I have the tarot reading for the month ready. I've written some of it, but I've not. I think I've done. I know I've done the breakdown, and I know I've done. I think I've done the first week. I might have done week 2 as well. So I'm not quite finished with that. That will go up today, though. So check that out and kind of compare the two, the geomancy one with the tarot one, and maybe kind of get you might get an overall picture of things. A lot of the time they tend to sort of match, and it could be me, you know, because I'm the common denominator and I'm interpreting it the same way. But I don't think so. I think it's more that right now the energies are such that things are really divination-wise are coming into alignment. Last year, of course, being an 11 year, wasn't a year of illumination. And this year, being a 3 year, it's more about how we're going to manifest all of that, manifest what we learned last year. And of course, you know, we're learning more about, you know, the society around us, our government and what's going on there. We're learning more about all of that. We're learning more and more about, I think, also who we are within all of this. I was just scrolling through the headlines on my Feedly. I use Feedly as my newsreader, and I was just scrolling through the headlines before. Oops, there goes a card. What was it? Looks like a 6 of Wands. Let me get my magnifying glass so I can actually see. Yeah, 6 of Wands. So remember that one. Again, 6. But so it aligns with the month, in other words. So higher self going, come on, get on with it. but I read this, just a headline that said that we've become, I think it was on Daily Kos, maybe. Is that where it was? Something about that we've really, as a society, lost our moral compass, or that it's being really challenged, or it's not really too apparent these days. And I have to wonder if this is the year that we start to really take a look at what happened to all of us together in terms of our unity. Unity has always been a challenge in this country, even though it's called the United States of America. The united part has always been a challenge because it has to do with just exactly who the people are in the equation as to whether or not it's part of the United States of America. So, if you're an immigrant, if you're somebody with something other than white skin color, then of course you're not part of that. It's real easy to cast you all aside, isn't it? And I'm not really sure. I guess you have to be of only one religious persuasion and not all of the others, So you can have white skin, but only one religion. And if you don't fall in line there, then that's a problem, isn't it? Shouldn't be. The idea of the melting pot is to bring all cultures together and have them represented, and so we can learn about it and appreciate one another for all these wonderful cultural contributions that we all can make. So it was just kind of interesting when I was scrolling through. I thought, yeah, that's true. I think that maybe we never had it. Maybe we came here to this country and we decided to usurp and take and not respect the land and not respect the people that were already here. And then we brought more people here as slaves, and we decided that they weren't people at all, right? Yeah. I think we lost our moral compass a long time ago. I don't think this is anything new. But I think that everything that we're seeing right now is showing us the fallacy in all of it. And that really the best way forward is together. So I'm hoping that we can manifest what we learned last year and what we continue to learn this year, and manifest it in a different type of a way, maybe one that invokes higher self into the equation and sees everyone as not the other, but the other side of self. So we'll see what this month brings us. We'll see if we get any closer to that. Let's go ahead and draw the first card. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I take the 13th card. It's just my process. I like things to be random. I'll pull at least 3 cards, maybe a 4th. I'll do a rune, and then I'll do a geomancy rune to kind of give us just an overall reminder of it'll either align with what we've been talking about, the geomancy rune will, or it will be like one last little reminder of, oh, hey, don't forget about this. But here we have the 2 of Cups. Here we're coming together with intention. It's a moment of healing and of love and of reciprocity and of joy and commitment. You see the winged lion above the caduceus. In a way, this is a blending of will and emotion. The will to come together, the will to exchange vows, maybe. I don't see evidence of a hand fasting, so it may not be an actual wedding, but maybe just a moment of healing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a healing between 2 people. It could be the healing within. When we see people as the other, when we live our lives in separation instead of unity, that does something inside us. A lot of that comes from fear of the unknown, fear that maybe that person might, hurt us somehow or take something away from us somehow. Their very existence may. But it's an illusion, okay? It's just an illusion. And so here, this couple has dropped that illusion, and they're coming together in unity and fellowship. They're exchanging, it's a shared experience. They're exchanging maybe a feeling of abundance. you know, the cup runneth over type of feeling. But the 2 is about balance, it's about polarity, it's also about decisions. So this is an intention. That's why you see the winged lion. It's an orange color. I'll show you it again here. I was just trying to make sure that I get this deck good and shuffled. If you don't, you know, you're going to pull the same cards as you were pulling, you know, the day before or the week before, whatever. We don't want that. Well, I mean, unless it's actually happening randomly, then that's fine. But you see the red color, that's will, that's fire. Lion is representative of the fire element. And that's basically about creativity and will. So that's why I'm looking at this in terms of intention, that this is an intentional moment of coming together. Let's do a second card, though. The 10 of Cups. So we're going to continue on with the water element and our emotions. You see the rainbow above. Success with the yellow. Energy. Here the family is looking back at their home. The kids are dancing. Mom and dad are have their arms around each other. Or it looks like dad has his arm around mom, maybe. But they're raising their hands in supplication to their success, to their legacy, to their joy, to their contentment. But together right here, we've got a 3 energy working. The 2 and the 10 result in a 3, because 10 reduces to 1, because 1 and 0 is 1. And then 1 added to the 2 is 3. So that's how we come up with the 3 in terms of the numerology so far. So manifesting joy, manifesting contentment, manifesting success, manifesting unity, balance, love. Let's do a third card. If you're back, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming back. Click subscribe if you haven't. If you're new or you've been here a while and you haven't clicked subscribe, go ahead. I'd love you to do that. You know, you can follow me over there on Facebook. Stepping Aside has a Facebook page. Also, I have my own Facebook page. You can follow me there or friend request me there, whatever you want to do. I'm drinking root beer this morning. I didn't feel like making tea. I was out there so long. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go in. I don't even know what time it is. I was out in the garden. So, oh, well, we're going to continue with the 3 of Cups. Mind, body, spirit, and balance. Joy, triplicities, again, manifestation. So we had 3 and 3 is 6 for the day. Well, we're having a lot of synchronicity here today, aren't we? We're not going to pull a 4th card, by the way. I'm going to get the runes ready here. Now, I don't count 13 and take the 13th rune. I just reach in my bag and let them fall through my hand. And when the final one is there, that's the rune. It's also how I create vine runes. I set my intention and then I let the runes decide what they are. Let's see. Oh, we have Sewillow. Now, Sewillow is the 16th rune of the Elder Futhark. So you're looking at a 7 energy, so balance, again. So it aligns with the 2 in that regard. You see as above, so below in the horizontal plane right there in the way that Sewillow is drawn. So it's definitely higher self energies in play. It's a fire element rune, rune of the sun, basically. And in a way, in here we have that implied, don't we, with the rainbow? Even though you don't see a sun visibly, it's the effect of it. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Sawillo it's about energy. It's about enlightenment. It's about our will, manifesting our will. And it aligns with the two, doesn't it? I mean, it's basically this card, is it not? I wanted to look, though, at the 3 because there was something I had written down. It's clearly in the other book. Success, abundance, balance, celebration, mind, body, spirit, and harmony. In order that we can come together, though, we have to have mind, body, and spirit in harmony, don't we? It's like now that we have this, we can have that, or coming together, we have this, we're capable of doing this. So it's part of the same circle of thought, really, circle of experience. You know, it's one of the reasons I don't do reversals on anything. I think that if you're going to look at the 2 of Cups, it also embodies the 2 of Cups reversed. So all that is can be undone and can be its opposite. You see? So instead of looking at one or the other, I think it makes more sense to look at the whole thing inclusively. And I think when you see a higher self motivated balance, you know, where higher self is actually controlling the moment and the situation, it allows for our emotions to come back into balance, and we do it with intention. And that's the other aspect of this. When you look at this card, you see the intentional coming together for the purpose of healing. That's what it's going to take, I think, when we've lost our way, the way that apparently we have. I think it's pretty clear that we have. And when we lose our way, then we have to have a beginning point, right? We have to have a place to start, in other words. Okay, we're lost, we're scattered, our emotions are all over the place, we're not thinking clearly. If you stay in that scattered, chaotic experience, you're never going to get out of it. So you have to come back to a focal point. And for me, the best way I recommend doing that is just to go into meditation and to just stop and call back all your energy. You can chant lagus if you want to, silently or softly, to draw back all of your energy to a still point. Let everything else fall away. Let all the connections that you've created out in the world that have now become chaotic and out of balance, allow all of them to just simply dissolve. Don't cut them. Don't do that. To me, that's just too harsh. Because it doesn't mean that you won't ever have another connection with that person or that situation or what have you. You just want to have a little more control over it. Okay? You don't want it affecting your peace of mind, and you don't want yourself affecting their peace of mind. So sometimes we just need to see them dissolve and then allow ourselves to just come back to our still point. Think of it as the still point of creation. Think of it as that point where you decided to express into form. And then just sit there with it. Sit there with who you are as source energy. And then when you're ready, try it again. And see if you can't manifest from a creative standpoint instead of a reactive one. Because when we do that, this is what happens, isn't it? When we're in sync with ourself, when mind, body, and spirit is in sync, we can then be in sync with others. Because when it's not, well, you know, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen there. Well, I'm not sure what I have done with my geomancy runes. Because if they're not, they were right on this table. And then I moved some things. Oh, there's that. Well, okay. I'll have to use some others. I'll use the staves. How about that? They must be over there. I'm not sure what I did with them. I don't see them here. Okay. So that one is water. That one's water too. Is this my new one? Oh, you can't hardly see that one. I won't use that one. I won't use that one. I'll use these. Okay. Wait. There must be another one here somewhere. Nope. Well, I guess I'm going to have to do this one then, won't I? So that's earth, that's fire, that's water. Oh, I know why I did this though. There's earth. The reason that I did another set of sticks is because my other ones wouldn't they wouldn't roll. They wouldn't like level out. What I do is I do like two on one side and then one on the other, but I need them to level out when I throw them. And they don't want to do that, and so they don't, like come up to like so they don't. So when they land, they're not showing either one or the two, kind of on the side. I didn't like that, so that's why I went ahead and did runes. And I don't know what the heck I had them over in by my chair when I was doing that post. So let's see what we come up with. Now these go into the. See, I've got a 2 there, and this one is that one's earth. So we'll put that down here. And I got a 1 for fire, so that goes up to the top. A geomancy rune is comprised of 3 dots, basically. This is 1 for, or 4 dots, rather. And then this one is going to be water. And it goes in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And what I ended up with, well, is Cauda Draconis again. Now, we had that a couple of times last week. In fact, we had it, here we go. I'm going to draw this out for you guys. We had it on Tuesday and Wednesday of last week. Caput Draconis and Cauda Draconis are associated with the north and south nodes of the moon. And so Caput Draconis would involve beginnings and the present moment of our lives and the future. The North Node governs governs the past, and what might still be influencing us. But the idea when it shows up in a reading, you can basically think of it as the end of something. And what it looks like is this. If you remember from last week, if you were here, it looks like that. Now, Caput, the opposite of that, which is represented by the north node of the moon. This is Cauda is by the south node, but you can see it's opposite. Okay, the Caput is beginnings, Cauda is endings, and so that's basically what we have here. Is the notion of endings of something. So, what this seems to be, now that we're coming together with intention, it could be that we're ready to come to an end with the conflict we've been having, that it's time to put all of that in the past. A lot of our fear is just based on perception. It's a lot of the time it isn't even based on anything that actually happened, or if it did, maybe the other person doesn't even realize it, and we're the only ones carrying around that grief and that sorrow and that anger and feelings of loss or whatever, that we're feeling. And sometimes you just have to set it all aside And because here's the thing, if it's something that's really important, it's going to come back up anyway. And then you can be sure that it is something that wasn't just a result of perception. You know, if you were to take and you were to move the 2 and the 3 together, I mean, you can see how coming together, what that does. It amplifies, doesn't it? It starts out with 2 and then it moves to 3. And then we have a happy life, don't we? Will in balance with emotions, will in balance with everything. I suspect that again, it's stressing that we need to have an end to the disunity. We need to have an end to the conflict, and we need to come back together and heal. So, cool way to start a Monday. Today's the new moon. I think she went direct 3 something this morning, my time, I think, if I remember right. And so if you want to do any ritual today, you know, inner work is favored, particularly with respect to how we communicate with others. You know, it may be that right now things are just a little too superficial or too chatty, and maybe our mouths get away from us and we don't really think about what we're saying. You've got that type of energy as well. But with Jupiter in retrograde, I think Ceres is in retrograde, Pallas, Pluto. You've got such a whole bunch of planets and bodies in retrograde right now. So, you know, lots of inner work to be done, particularly with Jupiter. Make use of that energy so that you can find a way back and heal. You know, even if we're talking about polarity here and not, you know, an issue with someone else, you know, it's if you can't find that mind, body, spirit alignment, then it's difficult to move into a healing place, really, isn't it? Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming by this morning. You know, I like I said, I'm doing these a little bit later in the morning because I'm trying to get a little bit of work done in the garden. I always feel like that if I come in here and I do this right off the bat, then I'm thinking about all the things I have to do out in the garden, and I can't really give my full attention sometimes because I'm nervous about it. It's like, oh, did I water that? Did I? And so it just occurred to me one day, well, you know, what if you just go out, look around, do what you got to do, and because see, on top of that, see, we were doing a 4 mile walk, and then coming back, and I was doing this, but then I would feel like I have to get out to the garden. You see what I'm saying? So we've just totally restructured everything. And so now I take my time in the morning in the garden. If the walk happens, it does or it doesn't. We can always do it later in the afternoon or in the evening. We can do it then. So I've taken the walk out of the equation. And now I just kind of putter about in the morning. And then I come in here and I sit down and I do this and I feel much better. So I don't know. It's been working. So anyhow, that's what I'm going to do for a while. So if you guys can put up with my fingernails for a while, because I know they get close to the screen, just understand that I grow all my own herbs and we grow all of our vegetables for the year. So this is just what I do this time of year. So anyhow, oh, one more thing. There's this duck. We have ponds, and we've always had a bunch of ducks and geese, and we had this geese pair that used to come and lay on the dock, and they'd have their babies there, you know. And last year they didn't, though, because we put a chicken coop up, plus we put a direct TV dish up, and so I don't know, maybe it was just too much. They come back, but they just aren't setting on the dock anymore, so we don't get to see that. But anyhow, we had this mama duck that stayed away from everybody. She was hiding over here by our carport and, you know, hanging out with us, basically, not hanging out with anybody else. Well, she ended up with one duck and one baby. And we named him Peep. And Mama and Peep last summer, I mean, Peep would try to come in the house. Regrettably, we fed them chicken scratch, and also they would eat the floating koi sticks that we put out in the pond for the bullfrog cattail, not bull, well, for the bullfrogs, the bullnose cattails or bullhead cattails, whatever. They're not the channel cats, they're the other ones. Anyway, we have a bunch of those in there, and there's some goldfish in there that have gotten quite big. And some of them are turning to carp now, but anyhow, you can still see some of their orange color. But anyhow, we feed them, and Mama and Peep were eating that stuff last year, so that's how they got to know us. And I mean, they would come over, and I would hand feed, blueberries and raspberries and blackberries to Peep and to Mom, and it was just a lot of fun. Anyhow, they left for the winter, and oh God, we just didn't know. Well, they came back, and once again, she has one baby. I think she started out with five, but now there's just one, and she still has it. And it turns out, and there was a marker on Peep on his chest. There was a little white mark. It's gotten bigger. He's with her. So he came back. He doesn't interact with us though. We'll see what we can do when the blueberries come on. Maybe he'll remember. I don't know. But Mama has got her little baby, and she's letting the baby around us, and my husband started feeding them again. So we'll see what happens. But I was just afraid that they didn't come back, and they did. So it's really cool. It was really exciting because last year's videos had those ducks in it, and it had, I mean, I had just a bunch of them. I was doing them outside in the backyard, and the ducks would surround me, and Mom and Peep would be there, and it was just very cool. So while it's not exactly the same, they're here. So yay. And they survived. So that is so great. Anyhow, hopefully if I do this outside, maybe we'll get to see them, and I'll turn the computer so you guys can see what they look like when the baby gets a little bit bigger, because right now he's just a little wee one. So anyhow, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for stopping by. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.